I show. So the first half, I'm going to talk about the claw lenses. So for a lot of anterior segment surgeons who have complication, I think this is the easiest way out, and then mastering on to the gluteal. So the claw lenses were described by Wurst. He was inspired by the claws of the lobster, and that is how he came up with the design. It's a single piece lens with one material, and the fixation mechanism was how the iris tissue gets enclaved into the clips of the IOL lenses. So I'm just going to show you a small clipping of the lenses. So these are the lenses. As you can see, there's a small wedge there. So within this space is where the iris tissue is getting enclaved. And you can see the one more thing is the use of the forceps. We use something for this broad that's called the Shepherd's forceps because you need a good grip of the lenses. We cannot use a regular IOL forceps because that tends to slip the lens. And many people will ask they're not able to enclave properly because the grip is not good. So these two instruments are very important. So the first scenario is an old aphakic patient. We being VR surgeon, I prefer the 23 gauge trocar, but I think this was before the invention of the AC trocar maintained by Amar Agarwal sir. So that can also be used by anterior segment surgeons. Since these are rigid lenses, that is why we're making a scleral tunnel. So that is another difference between all the gluteal surgeries that we saw today. I always prefer tricot. I think sir has already emphasized the important because if you can say stain and see the vitreous so clearly, because for any secondary IOL procedure, I think everybody will agree, a good vitrectomy is a very, very key indicator because it reduces post-op CME, reduces the risk of endophthalmitis, and also any decentration of the IOL. So once the vitrectomy is being done, so the claw lenses are placed, hold it firmly, take it under the iris and push your right hand up and the left hand down, and it is clipped. I'll just slow it down to show. You can see my other hand is already in position. So this is another tip for people who want to start. I know where I'm going to clip it in the mid periphery of the iris, not too anterior, not too posterior. And then we clip it. This was another case post silicone oil aphakia in an RD patient. So here again, you can see the claw lens being taken inside and then a slight depression is enough. In very ultra slow motion, my first hand is already waiting. As I told you, the mid periphery is very, very key here. That avoids the ovalization of the pupil. So taking the lens underneath, lifting up your left hand and then pressing your right hand. So both have to work in congestion. As you can see, just a mild force. There you go. And then you can see the dimple there on the iris. So that shows that it is enclaved and you can get these round pupils also. One of the contradictions, they said glaucoma, but as such, the IOL doesn't induce glaucoma because of the pigment dispersion. So this was a case of a combined trab in an aphakic patient who was, so the glaucoma surgeon did the superior trab. Said this again was inspired by the vertical glued IOLs that showed. So we shifted to the temporal section after the trab was done superiorly. As you can see a new, and these rigid irises also can sometimes make it difficult for fixing these lenses. So here the third trick I would show you is to grasp these lenses because we should not damage the iris or cause any bleeding. So fill in good viscoelastics. You can use your iris, the second instrument, as you can see here, maneuver the iris carefully instead of pushing it and physically damaging. Just use your second instrument to move the iris and then take it gently inside. So this way it causes less damage to the iris. Only in this particular case, because it was a known case of a glaucoma, we did a peripheral iris-ectomy. Otherwise, routinely for the claw lenses, we do not do a PI. So this was a known case that we did a PI with the cutter. This is the easiest for us. So there are complications related to the procedure. You can get an irregular pupil. You can have iris bleeding. That is, if you go too much to the roots of the iris, or tearing of the iris if you use too much of force or pressure. Non-clipping and breakage of these haptics can also take place. So there are already also other alternatives like the good IOL, as Madam showed, also the scleral fixated IOLs. So we did a study comparing the two and we found out the post-op vision was less, but there was a slight increase in inflammation in the iris claw group. I think we did a study with Amar Agarwal sir also. The pseudo-phacodonosis was found slightly more in these claw lenses as compared to, as he said, the stability of the glued IOLs were definitely better. But we for an anterior segment surgeon, this is definitely an alternative. You can see immediate post-op pictures and late post-op pictures, also well-round pupil, and you can see the dimple on the mid-periphery of the iris. So it is a relatively easy procedure to do also. So now moving on to the second half of the new innovation, the CM T-Flex IOL for the treatment of aphakia. No financial interest. So this is the new CM T-Flex IOL, which is a single-piece hydrophilic lens with a specialized T-shaped haptic. So these T-shaped haptics, when brought out of the sclerostomy, opens up and prevents the lens from falling back inside, so that there is no requirement of suturing. So as you can see, this is a case of an aphakia that presented to us. But most important thing is for any secondary IOL, the 0-180 degree marking is the key for the IOL stability and to prevent it. So we're using the Ashwin's glued IOL marker to mark the 0-180 degrees here. And we create a 2 by 2.5 scleral flaps on either side using the crescent blade. A partial thickness flap is created 1.5 millimeters away from the limbus. A sclerostomy is made using a 23 gauge needle. You can use the MBR plate also. So already Manoj has emphasized the adequate good vitrectomy. So the vitrectomy has been done. So just skip that part. So using the Prenerve T-Flex forceps through one sclerostomy, the IOL is going to be injected through a clear corneal 2.8 millimeter incision. As you can see, when it comes out, the T haptic comes out first. So you grasp it head on. So that is the best method to do. As you can see here, the head on grasping. You can also catch the neck because these are hydrophilic materials. They are forgiving. At this time, we do not pull out the lens. We inject the rest of the lens and leave the second trailing haptic at the wound or over the iris. So once the lens is injected fully, and then carefully, the T junction, you can see there will be a pop of the T that comes out through the sclerostomy and it opens up and then we leave it. So this specially designed T-shaped haptics is what prevents the lens from falling back inside. Just a small animation clip. This can be loaded through any routine foldable injector cartridge, just making sure that the T junction comes out first to make it easier to grasp. So once it is loaded, as you can see, injected through a clear corneal incision. Initially, we're doing like this, so you have this 90 degrees of pulling, or you can go either opposite side, so it makes it easier to do. Again, the importance of handshake technique, I think it is emphasized enough. So you have to use the handshake technique to grasp what we call the bridge of these lenses and then transfer it to the other hand. As you can see, again, try to hold it to the head on. Make sure you get a firm grip. And once you get the firm grip, gently remove it through the other side. So you can see the pop of the T-shaped haptics on the other side. And that is almost the end of the surgery. So we do not require any suturing here. So now you can see these T-shaped haptics firmly snug there. So now we close the flaps and this thing using the fibrin glue. So these are some of the immediate post-op day one pictures. You can see a few DUM folds because of the day one. And then on 1 month post-op, you can see how round centered pupil and very good conjunctival closure. And we also done studies on UBM to know the position of the lens and whether it causes any friction when the pupils dilate. And also some OCT pictures through the sclera to see the long-term effective of these things under the scleral bed. So we also have a recent publication in the JCRS about this being a new innovative technique for the treatment of aphakic patients. So thank you once again, Evers, and big thanks to Mohan Rajan sir for always being mentor and inspiring me, and Amar sir for always giving me confidence and helping me out, and Manoj, through whom I've learned a lot during my fellowship days, and Sujata ma'am for being. Thank you, sir.